says an error occurred. Oh, now.
And a fine Wisdom Wednesday, boys. Good morning. I love
misfire there. I was getting a little worried.
I love Wednesdays because my youngest gets to join the screen with us.
Feels like the Brady Bunch when we're on Wednesdays. A lot of little squares.
I need to look down, right? You need to look down.
You got to look to the right. I got to look down.
Actually, it could be with squares.
Jay, we might need to record that for a new intro. Everybody doing the looking around the old.
That's a possibility.
It is a possibility. Speaking of intros, Mark and I had the pleasure of joining Scott McGregor, and you've all seen Scott, know who he is. Scott has a series of guests that he puts on. He has a legend series. He has an author series. We kicked off the 2023 campaign yesterday. What a great audience. What a great interviewer. But what a kick-ass intro, man.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, they played the Monday Night Football music, so we'll never be able to show anybody it because of copyright infringement. Right. But, like, the intro to have Monday Night Football music playing as you're getting ready to do, an interview or a presentation definitely fires you up and gets you in the right mindset. Ryan Coleman was there yesterday, so that was cool to see him in the crew. And where in the world is Eddie Dykes? He's traveling, isn't he? So
Eddie is all over the way. He is setting up Weston Jewelers all over the place.
Yeah. Good morning to you, Eddie.
I thought it was
LinkedIn is having a little technical difficulty.
Go figure.
And now, all right,
go to YouTube.
Now we're back live. We're live on LinkedIn. Here we go.
Oh yeah, great, excellent.
It fixed itself.
I thought it was cool, and I might be wrong. I was kind of listening in the background. But did someone that you guys did not know do their research before and use the Tell Me Something Good?
Correct.
So I want you to talk about that and why it's important to post and have content and everything along those lines.
Oh, it's so great, Jake. Thank you, because it really was phenomenal that when it went. First of all, Scott's a great interviewer. He just really flowed. We're going to talk about today some of how he asked us how we embrace social media different than everybody. And that seemed to really be a target question. But then when he went to question and answer, he went to a gentleman and the gentleman said, I did my research. I had a meeting yesterday that morning. And he said, I opened it. It was a big meeting for him. And he opened it up with, tell me something good. And he said the response was incredible. The way it went on and on. He goes, thank you for that nugget because I did my research on you and that came up. And I was like, how phenomenal is that?
Yeah, it was perfect. It was unbelievable. And the fact that just, he had a great takeaway. It was almost like being on a GOTB call where it was like somebody put something into action and then was giving a testimonial about how it worked for them during the week. So it was super cool to have somebody who didn't know us essentially. And then because we were going on and Scott had promoted it to the group, it was an opportunity for them to go find out more and learn before we even got in there. It was awesome.
So here's the funny part, and Scott knows this. I mean, thank you. He said we crushed it. A lot of feedback that was really positive. People,
ton of people
saying what a great way to start the year. But Mark, tell me if I'm wrong. We were just being us.
Yeah, well, and that was the feedback was like, this was such a genuine and authentic. I think when people get into those settings, they're conditioned to see a presentation and for somebody to put on a front about who they are or what they did to become successful. And we were really just, doing what we always do on the Huddle or anytime we get in these kind of scenarios. And we were just having a conversation with everybody. And that was the thing that resonated the most with them was just how genuine the experience was.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I love being around Scott McGregor. We talk about this all the time. He asked me one nugget from my grandfather, and then he asked you what was a nugget from your grandfather. The nugget for me consistently is my grandfather said, you are who you hang out with, period. And so I've always in my career tried to be around people who were positive and influential and I could learn from, and certainly the rewards were there. But just to show you that why people are afraid of LinkedIn, I got this LinkedIn message yesterday. Hi, Steve. I see you're in the politics space. I was wondering if you've ever considered sharing your experience on TV.
Unbelievable. It's
Hello?
unbelievable. Jeff Marcoux, the Chief Executive Officer. It's mind-blowing.
What would give somebody the clue that I was in politics?
It's funny. I got one yesterday that I thought was pretty good. Like they had reached out about in their message, they were like, I love the 1% better mindset, and they kind of really pulled on me. And I was like, So I went to the page and I went and looked at what they do. And sure enough, they major in helping coaches scale their business to hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue every month. So I'm like, almost got me. Almost,
I told Jake, I got one coming up tomorrow. I took the bait. He said, Gatorpreneur, and here's what he wanted to do, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And I went, okay. I said, what do you have in mind? And he left me an audio message through LinkedIn that said, hey, I'm sure that there's people we could introduce to each other, and da-da-da. I said, you know what? I'm going to take the bait. It's probably a sales pitch.
But yeah,
I did hear the voice. It was a very genuine message, though. And it goes, honestly, it goes 15 minutes, not asking for too much of the time. But I think it shows you that people are so afraid for even 15 minutes. That that's the approach that they're taking, is to go the complete, not standoffish. Hey, no pressure. We're just trying to have a conversation, get to know each other. It's just crazy that there's still so much spam that then leads to the uncertainty of using it and how people feel about it.
Because I think the number one feedback that I get on our strategy is, oh, well, I've been sending videos, but I'm not getting a response back from the video. Or, I'm asking for the virtual coffee, but I'm not getting a response back on it. And I think a lot of people just assume that it's okay to ask for a virtual coffee up front. Right? I don't think people realize that, a lot of times I have a message conversation back and forth with somebody before I move to, all right, let's have virtual coffee. You know what I mean? But we'll go back and forth on a piece of content they shared, or why we were connected, or we'll have a little conversation, as opposed to showing up in somebody's, inbox with, hey, I don't know you, but I'd love to have 15 minutes of your time to share stories.
And you call it, you guys,
what I mean?
Call it stacking yeses, which I think is the best way to put it. No matter what you do, any relationship, and it's so funny. I go back to Larry David's, the whole reset the relationship. He's when he's talking too much to the guard gate, he's like, no matter if we just reset it and go back, which I think would be such a funny way for people to go back to their connections that they haven't talked to in so long and be that GIF or somebody's like, hey, it's matter if we reset it, we got off on the but the stacking the yeses is the most important. You don't, it doesn't matter what relationship you're in, whether it's business, whether it's personal, it doesn't matter. You stack the yeses. Let's go get coffee first to be friends before we go to dinner. So I think there's a natural lineage on how you get there.
So I heard this over and over yesterday. People were enamored that we're a family business. And yesterday I got to spend time with the heir apparent. Shay, we still working?
Are these not the royal rules?
Oh my God! Look at that picture.
I think Kai is the heir apparent, though. If we're going by the
royal rules, he is the firstborn.
If you go by the hierarchy, yes.
I was just Jules is technically Harry, and Harry, so that means Jules is gonna air out all
situation.
Right.
I'm absolutely enamored with that human being. His joy, his smile. Thank you for sharing. Shay, do me a favor. Wake this thing up, because we have a great show today about, are you keeping your resolutions?
Wake up, everybody. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Wake up. Come on.
So
Is there any better way to start the day than this way? I just really have like I'm doing the gratitude journal, I'm writing the 3 things every morning. But like I just had a real moment of like,
So
this
I
is
don't
the way
think
we
you
start our day every day. Come on.
I don't think you can see the bottom, right? And I don't know if you can either, Dad, on the set. Because I think just me and Shay get to see everybody's camera on the bottom, or no?
Oh, correct.
Behind
Yeah.
no.
Right? So like Mark, like in the middle of that song, you literally like had a moment where you chuckled to yourself and smiled. And I'm sitting here like,
No,
what's he so happy about?
so Jake, you, me, and your
Right.
dad can see the bottom. Mark can't see.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I can't see the bottom. I'm
He was
like,
like-
as soon as
he was
we
like
go to
sitting
break,
there,
I'm like
like-
off in my own world. So like,
I love
glad
it.
you noticed.
So it's the middle of the week, January 18th. Lots of people make resolutions. Shay, show me the graphic on the most common resolutions. So I know this is hard to read, but way up on the list is exercise more, eat healthier, lose weight, save money. Way down the list is raise money for charity, give up smoking. That one blows my mind. It's like that's
Do more
way
charity
down the list.
work. So what I took, and also in the middle there is like cut down drinking. So I think when you look at the graph of this and you see everybody's willing to, or everybody wants to do these things, but very few people are willing to do the things that actually relate to getting healthier, to losing weight, to saving more money. So like, I think it's really interesting that most people have like these, goals of, oh, I want to get in better shape. But when it comes to not eating sugar or not drinking or giving up the things that they're supposed to give up in order to do that, they're much less willing to do those things.
What I took away from that is these aren't like due date goals, and that's a positive in my opinion. And I think, me, Dad are really working on being healthier, working out more, eating the right things. And it's not about the finish line or where I'm going to get to. And it's not about oh shit, I had a cheeseburger today. And now what? And I think we've been so programmed in our lives, tests, projects, there's a finish. Like, oh, I got a C for that semester. I'm never going to get that back. Whereas goals and chasing that, especially those, there isn't a timeline. That can go forever. You can eat healthier throughout the year. You can lose weight throughout the year. You can save money throughout the year. Like there isn't this, like, I have to get it done in January. And if I mess up, let's just stop.
So here's what's interesting. So how long do these resolutions last? So you teed it up. 43% of all people expect to fail by February. Almost 1 in 4 quit within the first week of the year, man. It's like, seriously.
Well, there's no
which is so funny because people say, I'm doing dry January, but New Year's Day, I'm going to drink. Hello. So the stats are amazing. 9% successfully keep their New Year's resolution. 9%. I mean, that if you were, doing that in business, you'd be out of business. 23% of people quit by the end of the first week, which we just said. It's 64 after the first month. So
64% after the first month. Like that is a staggering stat. That almost 2/3 of the people in the study who do a New Year's resolution give up that resolution after just 4 weeks. And I talked about this in the kickoff event at the beginning of the year, but I think the number one thing you have to do in order to be successful in that goal is have the vision of where you want to be at the end. You can't get caught up in the difficulty of the first 2 weeks. You can't get caught up in, oh, well, I didn't get up early on Tuesday, so I broke my chain of X's, or I broke my diet on Thursday, or I only did it one time this week. Like, even if you made no progress, having vision on where you want to go and the end goal, where it is, in the long-term vision, that helps you at least stay in the mindset of I'm going to try to continue to improve, as opposed to just giving it up because you're like, oh, well, I already didn't start, so I just might as well never do it then.
Well, it goes for any initiative that goes through any company or any personal initiative. You have to be willing to tinker. You have to be willing to evaluate and see what's working and what's not working. And I know Dad did this after 2 weeks. Like, he wasn't happy about his diet and the decisions that he had made. And so we wrote him a meal plan. And now you're on a new path. But You didn't stop trying to eat healthy and you were like, oh, well, it didn't work and, you know, I'm going to stop. Like, that's a broad goal. And so for me personally, like social media use was big for me. I'm awful when it comes to my screen time, my computer screen time, my phone screen times. I know that I'm not going to drastically change that in 2 weeks, that I'm going to stop. Something that I've been doing for 2 years now is just going to stop overnight. So I tinkered. I said, I'm going to make it more intentional social media time. I'm going to start to filter the stuff I look at more and realize and pay attention to the stuff that when, I don't know if you know this, but when you watch, if you watch something for a while on Instagram, they're going to send you more things that are like that. So things that were not going to better me, I quickly swipe through, and the things that were more educational, I try to spend more time and filter my content. So like you said, the minor goals that kind of go with it and those gap goals.
Here's what's fascinating, and Ryan talks about it. Still going strong on deliberate discomfort. My point of view today is, why does it have to be uncomfortable? The diet plan you wrote for me, which by the way, is actually printed and on my refrigerator, and we won't have time today to do it. We'll talk about lists and writing and why we have something called the DMO. But for today, everything is written. I don't have to think about it anymore. It's right there. It's laid out. And I will tell you, I started it Monday. It's not discomfort at all. To the contrary, you know, most of what I thought was like, I'm going to fast for 3 days, or I'm only going to juice and I'm going to starve my body. That's what I've been taught is discomfort. Take shit away. No, the diet and the nutrition plan you put for me, and I'm seeing it everywhere. 100 ounces of water, 150 grams of protein. Boom, you know, pretty simple. I feel energized. I feel better. I don't feel like I'm giving up anything. I am allowed to eat and snack and do. And I think the fallacy is that in order to get better, you have to be uncomfortable. Now,
sure,
you know, there's new behavior that creates uncomfortableness. Like I love chips. I'm a chip dude, man. You know, and we had this conversation on there. Oh, it's gluten-free. It's okay. What a
the rationale of how you can find ways to eat chips is staggering. But yeah, so to the point of the discomfort, there is some discomfort that's associated with it, but it doesn't have to be extreme. Like, look, like if you want to start dipping yourself in an ice tub every day, there's going to be a lot of discomfort that comes with that. You know, but like if you want to correct your diet or you want to get into exercise, the absolute wrong thing to do is cripple your body in the first workout so that you makes it 10 times harder to then do that behavior again the next day. It's the same thing with social media. It's what I'm working with Carlton on right now is like, don't try to jump in and do everything. Let's microdose this thing a little bit. Let's start to introduce the behavior, introduce it in the right way so that, and somebody said it, I think it was Paula Bird who said it's sustainable. That's the goal, is so that you can do it forever. Because if you do something for a 30-day challenge, like, and I love the 75 hard, right? People love it. It's mind-changing, but it only lasts for 75 days. That's not a sustainable model. For me, I'm trying to build sustainable behavior so that I can eat whatever the hell I want on Saturdays. I don't care. I eat Oreo pie. I eat pub subs. I eat chicken wings. I eat pizza. I don't care. Saturday's my day to eat whatever the hell I want because I know that Saturday isn't going to outweigh Sunday through Friday. Or inversely, I'm going to choose Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night to eat whatever I want, or Saturday or Sunday to eat whatever I want, and choose 3 meals to be my cheat meals, which aren't going to outweigh the other 50 meals I ate throughout the week. So that to me is building the sustainable process that allows you to stay focused on the end goal, stay focused on the long-term vision, and go through whatever minor discomforts or discomforts are happening in the meantime. That allows you to create the success.
So I love what Joanne said, you know, start with the end in mind. You know, that's the perfect example of reverse engineering.
Correct.
Where do you want to be at the end of 2023 in business, in life, in personal, in economic? Where do you want to be? And then reverse engineer the steps it takes to get there. To your point, it's easy to throw out a goal. I want to be, blah, 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 blah,
Right.
if you're not willing to do what it takes, and that's what all this resolution bullshit is about. It's, hey, are you willing to do what it takes? I'm suggesting if you break it down to daily behaviors, which all of us are pretty, we talk about daily. Can I do 100, grams of 100 ounces of water and 150 grams of, protein? Can I do that every day, 6 days a week? Yes.
Right.
Am I starving myself? Am I walking around dizzy because I'm hungry? Part of the problem with what I was doing before was I was working out. I was exhausted all the time. I was like, gotta summon the energy. And Jake looked at me and he goes, "You are not eating."
There's two things that come to mind when we talked about it, and it was, number one, you don't run a Ferrari on regular gas, and you also don't run a Ferrari on E, right? Like, any high performance vehicle requires high octane fuel and also requires you to have a full tank. So, like, if you want to be a high performance vehicle every single day, which is what it's going to take, if you're going to focus on your mindset and your physical well-being and your professional well-being and your personal well-being within your family, if you're going to focus on all those things and focus on 5, no more than 5, but if you're going to focus on those things, you're going to need the energy in order to propel you through that, which is going to come from the fuel and the activity that you give yourself.
I think the conversation is so important because it goes to our training mindset. It's, when we coach somebody, to your point, it's not like, hey, tomorrow you're going to be an Olympic swimmer. Get in the pool and, splash around for a little bit. Don't put the pressure on yourself. Just, JA is asking for OT. I got OT.
Yeah.
You got OT.
Aaron's one OT. I'm good. We can go for a few minutes.
I'm good. Let's go, baby.
And we'll go to overtime.
So there was a stat, and then Jake, I know you had something you wanted to say, but the stat about the people who quit in the first week, I guarantee you there was absolutely zero preparation or work that went into starting that goal. So, like, again, like, whether you're working with a coach individually or whether you're getting on to our Get on the Ball training platform, it becomes about what kind of preparation and what kind of plan have you put in action for yourself in order to be able to allow you to get started and start to move forward.
And you always talk about failure is not fatal. And I think that's so important whenever you start something new, is that failing is not like the end goal. Like you failed a day or you failed a meal. And what I think happens is, because people have so many, initiatives or things that they want to get right, and you talk about the 5 priorities, when people have 25 priorities, they try to be better in every avenue of their life when it comes to January. Like, every avenue. Like, I'm going to do 500 videos at work, and then I'm going to make 700 calls, and then I'm going to go home and I'm going to eat healthy, and I'm going to run 17 miles. I'm going to take my kids to school, and I'm not going to watch TV anymore. And I was like, what? Where are you having fun? Like, no, I'm serious. Like, where are you just enjoying getting better? And so when you have the 5 priorities, you're allowed to over-index on what day it is. So someday you might over-index on being a better father, and that's your focus there, a better mother, or whatever it is, or being a better boss. And then the next day you're like, well, I really want to focus on being healthy. And now you start stacking and you over-index kind of where the focus needs to go. And now you start to make incremental progress in all of the 5 instead of no progress in all 25.
I always relate that to the way that we prepared for games. I always relate that to the way that we prepared for games, because you never prepared for the whole game every day. You didn't prepare for every game situation until Friday. Monday, you came out, you did normal down and distance. That was it. Maybe you introduced a little bit of third down or a little bit of red zone. Tuesday, you came in heavy third down, heavy red zone, heavy blitz. Wednesday, you had some cleanup of some things from the previous days, and you were going to introduce coming out and a few other situations in the game. Thursday, you were going to walk through all of that. You were going to put it all together. And then Friday, you were going to practice the whole game plan. So you built up to be able to do that, and you reset it every single week. Most people are just showing up every single day going, I got to be Hulk, I got to be Superman, and I have to do it all.
Yeah, I think people get stuck in habits. For me, and I've been unpacking this, doing the research about drinking, and it's like, it's not good for you. I mean, it is not good for you. There's not a debate. It's not good for you. The older you get, the worse it is. I've been reading these studies about Alzheimer's and leukemia and all these things that, well, when you unpack it, you say, well, why would I do something knowing it's bad? Well, I walk by somebody smoking and I'm like, what haven't you learned yet? And with drinking specifically for me, it's more habit. It's, hey, I'm going for sushi. I'll have a little sake. Hey, we're eating the steak dinner. Boom, 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 boom. I'll
have a glass of wine. Gonna have a martini, whatever.
Right. It's like all theater for me, and breaking that, and to such a degree that I bought no alcohol Heineken for the weekend. I wanted to watch the game, drink a beer.
Right.
65 calories. I'm willing to give up the calories. And you know what? It was damn good. It was cold. It was refreshing. I had the bottle, that fixation. And so, transferring the habit to something that's better for you. And then wouldn't you know, there's this whole thing about non-alcoholic cocktails called mocktails. And you can buy non-alcoholic tequila.
Yep.
Beautiful tequila bottles made with non-alcohol in it, so I think it's fascinating that if you're committed to it, you substitute the behavior with something that's more positive. And that's a crazy takeaway for everybody. Listen, this is what I do, but I can still do it. I can do it better for me.
More is not better. Better is better.
Don't worry. We'll be partying in February. Do not worry.
You do not want to know what February looks like.
I love it. Some great takeaways from today. Melissa Graves was failures not fatal. Less with the over-indexed. So absolutely love what everybody's takeaways were. Great stuff. If you're enjoying the conversation and you're looking for more ways to get better, do not hesitate to reach out or scan the QR code. It's somewhere around here so that you can join our Get on the Ball community. Until then, we will see you tomorrow.
So there's a plug for Athletic Brewing. I will look them up today and buy some of that. That gentleman will join us on Friday. He will be living in the hot seat. So
Scott McGregor will be here Friday. Looking forward to that. Till then, let's get down to business.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night.